Joining me is General Jack Keane, a retired four-star general who served as Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Army. He's now chairman of the Institute for the Study of War. I actually spoke to him a short while ago. General Keane, thanks for joining me. This General Zahedi, how important was he, and what's the significance of his assassination?
Yeah, well, he was certainly as a key leader in the IRGC, the Iranian Republican Guard Corps, and the Revolutionary Corps, excuse me. He oversees Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria. So he's a major factor in what is taking place in the war in the Middle East right now. He has his hand in all of it. And certainly the Israelis were very much aware of that. And I'm certain they feel fortunate to have been able to figure out where he was and take down him, as well as his chief of staff and a couple of the other senior leaders associated with him. I'm a little frustrated with my own government for distancing themselves from that and making certain Iran knew we had nothing to do with it, when what we should be doing is championing what did take place in taking out such a key figure, has so much blood on his hands, not just of the Israelis and what is going on with the war in Gaza, but also United States troops through the years as well.
Yes, let's not forget that Iran is a major sponsor of Hamas and Hezbollah. Hamas to the south of Israel, Hezbollah to the north, and Hezbollah has been, during this conflict, actually firing many rockets virtually daily at Israel. So this guy's right involved in the war. Iran has promised revenge. What is likely to happen? Is this going to morph into an all-out war, Iran versus Israel?
Iran has options in terms of retaliation. But I think they are so conditioned to being attacked, they're not going to do anything, Andrew, that would lead to Israelis to really have to escalate against them that could possibly lead to a war. Iran knows any war with Israel and the United States, they lose. They don't just lose the war, they lose the regime. And that is why they have proxies to begin with. So they keep themselves at distance from the response to the proxies. They'll likely respond, but I don't believe it'll be an overwhelming response which would force the Israelis to significantly escalate.
I think their war on Israel through Hamas is going well enough for them as it is. Speaking of the disastrous attack by Israel on an aid convoy, they say they didn't know, they thought it was a Hamas target or whatever. On Monday, that killed those aid workers, including an Australian. There's calls here to treat it as a war crime, investigate it as a war crime. How do you view what happened there?
Well, I think the Israelis should get some credit for, one, disclosing this as quickly as they understood the facts of the situation. They admitted that was a mistake. They apologized for that mistake, and they're conducting an investigation. Nothing like that happens with Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the other proxies in the region who go out of their way to intentionally kill civilians. The Israelis are making the point, and I agree with them. This was no intent to hurt any of these innocent civilians who are so courageous themselves in going out to try to feed people who are starving. Quite the contrary. There was a mistake made. In Kabul, when we were making our emergency retreat out of Afghanistan, and we had 13 soldiers killed and 170 Afghans due to a suicide bomber, we attacked what we thought was the origins of the suicide bomber, and we killed 10 people, all innocent people, 7 children were a part of that. That was a terrible mistake, and we did the same disclosure that the Israelis made. This is the horror of war. People in war who are human beings make mistakes. But contrast the difference. What Israel is doing here is admitting a mistake. They're saying there was no intent to kill innocent civilians. Hamas goes out of their way to kill innocent civilians. And just for the last 2 weeks, Andrew, Hamas has shielded 200 to 300 Hamas fighters under the Al-Shifa hospital, using that hospital to shield them is a war crime. And that's the reality of it. And the Israelis killed 200 of them and captured some 500 others as a result of what Hamas is doing in the tunnel complexes below. And the best of my knowledge, the Israelis have told us there's not a single tunnel complex to protect the Gazan citizens from airstrikes or the war itself. Hundreds of miles of tunnels are for who? Hamas fighters. They want the civilians to be killed. And where is the consistent outcry of that tragedy and that war crime that Hamas is committing every single day?
Oh, no, General, you're completely wrong. The consistency is this. They're attacking Israel for taking on the Hamas fighters that were using that hospital as a base. So the consistency is always assume that Israel is the guilty one. They're being held to a much, much higher standard than Hamas. Hamas is being held to no standard whatsoever. General Keane, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Great talking to you, Andrew, and your audience. Thank you.